yow, this is not what is happening.
I don't know.
It's not great.
Galactic sentient broadcast. Target, planet Earth. Begin invasion in 3, 2, 1.
Greetings, invaders. My name is Scott. Thanks for joining me. This is Book Invasion. Today we're going to be talking about Ready Player 2. If you haven't heard about this book, then you probably shouldn't be watching this video. This is the highly anticipated sequel to Ernest Cline's breakthrough debut, Ready Player 1. Now, starting at the beginning, I was a huge fan of Ready Player 1. I loved it. It hit all the right notes for me. I was a child of the 80s. All of these little references and puzzles I thought were just fantastic. I really enjoyed the story. It was more of just like a popcorn story. The culture and the action that Wade went through in Ready Player 1 was fantastic. Now, when Ready Player 1 launched, Ernest Cline did an online scavenger hunt for this book where you had to go through 3 gates. One was like to find the different keys. The first one was mentioned as a website that was mentioned in the book. You can go to anoraksalmanac.com and you'll see that's the first gate. You have to then solve like an Atari style game on the computer. The second gate he launched was a Facebook game called like Ultimate Garage Sale, and you had to go through and random people find different relics of the 80s through a garage sale game, which was developed by Richard Garriott. And now the reason that that's important is because Richard Garriott was the inspiration for James Halliday in the book, a game developer. So that's why that happened. And then the third gate and third and final gate was that you had to beat a Guinness Book of World Records for a classic arcade game like Joust or Tempest or Pitfall or something like that, with a Guinness World Record official there present, monitoring your progress. And then if you beat all 3 gates and you won and you beat the world record, Ernest Cline drove his DeLorean to you and gave you his DeLorean, which was really awesome. I dropped out after the second gate, and once I saw the quest for the third, I was like, I'm out. So anyway, I was all about Ready Player 1 when it came out. I'm a huge fan of this book. The movie was pretty much garbage, but I still like the book. I got it signed. I met the author before. So, Ready Player 2. Now, I hadn't read a lot about this book going into it. I just knew that it was only a few days after Wade had won the contest. There was a new villain, a new rival, and millions of lives hung in the balance. So what I was expecting, and there'll be spoilers for this book ahead, so turn it off if you don't want spoilers. So what I was expecting in Ready Player 2 is that maybe there would be some a quest, maybe a puzzle, and the rest of it would kind of be how Wade developed and, integrated himself into this new society and things like that. So in Ready Player 1, it starts off level 1, level 2, and level 3. So you can see how it's divvied up in Ready Player 1 that I enjoyed. I felt like it flowed a lot better. Ready Player 2, level 4, you start off on, and level 4 is the intro. Now the intro kind of, and the setting the stage for Ready Player 2 was rough. It's not great. Like it first opens up and Wade's kind of by himself in the cutscene, and everyone else is gone. Like it's been 9 days. 9 days since you won, and they all bail on Wade to go see their family and do like why is Wade by himself? That was it felt odd to me. They should have had like a crazy happening thing. So when the cutscene happens, Wade kind of goes through and discovers this ONI headset thing, this new virtual reality sensory plug-in for your brain. So it's essentially like a face hugger that kind of goes on your head, I imagine, with a spine thing down the back. So it's just like the Matrix, but it's more of like a helmet lid that you can take on and off instead of plug in and plug out. So you're in this Matrix type thing. You can feel and smell and taste all the stuff that you would as if you're really in the Oasis, and it's kind of changed the world. He talks about, the explicit things you can do with it, and people can, experience themselves being born, and all this kind of weird, creepy stuff that you can do when you go into other people's minds and experience their sensory experiences for any type of situation. So that was the intro of this book didn't have a good start. It was not great. And then we get into the puzzle for the 7 shards. And I felt like this just drug on too long. I felt like Ready Player 2 sat into these worlds for too many pages, and it was just kind of a slog to get through. Like each shard and each piece they have to find was just so drawn out. I marked it in these pages. So 13 pages straight of just telling you about this Samurai Sega Ninja video game. I've never played. I've never heard of it. So, that slogged on for quite a bit, and I was kind of bummed about that. I was like, all right, this is interesting, but I want to get into something else, something other than this video game. Let's move on. 40 pages of John Hughes and the John Hughes nightmare of a chapter. I'm not a huge John Hughes fan. I didn't really care. And this was just entirely too much for me to handle. I was just zoned out after they're going through all of these scenes and scripts and who was originally cast for who. I don't care. Let's move on to something else. You have 33 pages of Prince and 35 pages of Tolkien and the Silmarillion. So I feel like that was too much. Each of these quests didn't jump around as much, I felt like it did in the first book. Like in the first book, you had a puzzle to get to the gate, and then another puzzle to get to the key. And I felt like that was kind of evenly dispersed. These are just like you have one puzzle to find a shard, and you sit in that world and you just drill it so much that I was just, skipping to the end of these quests because he finds the shard. So let's just get this over with. And so a lot of these things, like Prince, like the Silmarillion, like the Ninja Princess game, and John Hughes, I just weren't big fans of. Even though I grew up in the 80s, I wasn't huge fans of those things. So this book was just really like, oh, great. Let's go through every John Hughes script for an entire 3 chapters and just drill this thing home. So I didn't like that. The other part I didn't like was that Wade Watts did not even solve one of these on the math world. So really, Wade had no participation in this story. Wade Watts did not do anything on his own. He didn't have the knowledge for any of these quests. They were all handed to him by his friends. He was walked through all of these things from his friends in his ears, and all he had to do was go through the motions. Like, he didn't know any of this stuff, which was kind of just so annoying. And then, he did the math one on his own. I think that was the only contribution that Wade had, is when they go to the math planet, which was just like, yeah, okay, but after the first 2 or 3, if Wade couldn't have figured them out, I'd be like, dude, you're on your own. Like, I know this stuff, but, we're helping you this whole time, and what do we get in return? Nothing. Just glory that we don't die of synapses overload syndrome. He didn't really do a whole lot, which I was really, upset about. It was all about his friends helping him through all of these puzzles, which is like, well, why didn't we have a multi-POV story then, where we learn about H, or we learn about Artemis more, or we learn about Shoto more. So Wade, I was like, come on, dude, you got to know this. But no, here comes Lohengrin just out of the blue. I know where the first crystal is because you've been wasting your time pining over your girlfriend and yada yada yada. And how different now is Wade than Sorrento was with all of his Sixers? Like he came into that role now where he doesn't really know anything about it, and he's just getting his friends feed him the answers through his ear while he's going through these quests, which I thought was pretty lame. I did not like that. Like, why are we following Wade when he's doing when all of his friends know the answers? Why can't we get a multi-POV story of Artemis or H and find out what they know and how their knowledge comes to play, and make it a little bit more geeky on their end, as opposed to like, oh, I know everything there is to know about this. No problem. Go ahead, Wade, and we'll guide you through it. Like, I had enough of that. Throughout the whole story, I felt like Wade was just trotting along, living in the shadow of his friends, figuring out all these problems for him. And it was just kind of like, dude, oh, here's another clue. I don't know what it means, but H, yeah, she knows exactly what this is, and she's spent so much time on this world. I'll show you where it is. And then Artemis comes in. I spent so much time on this world. Let me show you where exact things happen at exact times, and I've done it so many times. Through the first one he was walked through with Lohengrin, But I didn't expect him to be walked through every single other puzzle based on his friend's knowledge. I thought that was kind of lame. So after he gets all these, we have a pretty cool battle at the end. I felt like it was a little bit abrupt, and it wasn't that massive of a battle as it was in Ready Player One. I felt like it was like, oh, there's a villain, let's kind of pull a little switcheroo on him, and then all of a sudden we have an ultimate weapon and he dies. There wasn't a big battle as there was in Ready Player One where he calls all the Gunters and we have a huge army. Rawr! It was more of just like, you think you got us? Oh no, we got you. Ha ha ha, dead. And then it was over. So I felt like Ready Player 2, I don't know if it was rushed or if it was just Ernest Cline is now thinking of the world of a screenplay and he's got Spielberg whispering in his ear on how to write the book. And I felt like he could have flexed a little bit more of his storytelling ability, but maybe he just doesn't have any. I don't know. Once he got into the puzzle of the 7 shards, I kind of rolled my eyes and I was like, yeah, let's not make this whole book about another quest. And then the whole 80% of it, of him finding the shards, was just kind of like, yeah. And then the last like 10 or 20% at the end was like, all right, yes, this was awesome. And that was it. But it was spread on too thick, I feel like, and I just didn't enjoy it as much as I did. That's kind of what you get with Ready Player 2, is you get more quests, it's more of the same, and it's laid on a lot more thicker, and there's more pages and chunks of these puzzles. And the piece that I did like was the villain that comes to play here, and the perception that shifts between Wade and who he had once thought was good kind of turned evil. And all that kind of stuff. And then the person they're trying to rescue, the siren, so to speak, I thought that was kind of neat. But again, not a real key play. So all in all, I felt like Ready Player 2 was enjoyable to an extent. I felt like it was a bit tiring at points. But I am glad I read it. I would recommend that if you did like the first one to check out the second one. Again, I had some high expectations that the story would flow a little differently. And that we would kind of step into a different kind of narrative here, but it's kind of more of the same. And I did not enjoy it as much as Ready Player 1. So those are my thoughts on Ready Player 2. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want some more sci-fi, fantasy, horror, book reviews, make sure you like and subscribe. That's how we grow the channel. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye. I don't know.